Rambling man, we ain't never gonna change. Got a gypsy soul to blame, and I was born for leaving. Said I'm a rambling man. G'day, guys. We've got a lovely portrait here. This is Fernando, and today, of all days, a few more of those transparent layers coming over the top of all these wild colours we have. This is what I need. Hey Sam. Here we go. So here's our picture of Fernando, and in the background we have some lovely Munich skies and what do you call it? The Glockenheim. I forget. But the clock. Right there in the middle of Munich. As if he's coming up from public transport and he's glancing to the right as if something pleasurable, exciting, worthy of joy has captured his eye, and he's glancing off to it, and just as if a smile is brimming on his face as he glances at it. Now, his whole body isn't like this, facing away from you. I want you to imagine that he's actually striding. He's mid-stride, and in that mid-stride, he's just glanced, just like you do as you come out of a train. And like a movie moment where you kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, where you, the way you have a memory, the way you'd remember it. Dashing, mid-stride. Mid-stride and dashing by a clock tower. That's what we're up to here. And hello, Charlene. Welcome on in. I'm just going to get one more little thing. Do. La-da-da-dee. And if you look carefully, guys, you can see my lovely little herb garden down here. These are my delightful herbs. This is my it's spring onion. It needs to be harvested though. It's starting to lose its colour. So anyway, and hello Ryan, how we doing? Now, this will be less about those bold colours. We've got enough of that. Just when you start liking the bold colours or liking the definition, that's probably the point where you've got enough of it. And the next step is to get caught up in the, in this case, the depth, the less saturated layers, the beautiful, what's the term I'm looking for? Beautiful transparent layers. Now it depends though what colour that's going to be. And I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. Got a lovely little iced coffee here. Yeah, it's funny actually, Charlene. When I was a younger man, when I was younger, I always felt like I'd never do a herb garden when they were available in the supermarket. But I think as you get older, your opinion on that sort of thing changes, and I get a huge amount of satisfaction and pleasure from growing all my own herbs, to the point that actually we've got very, very few herbs in our in our pantry. They're all fresh. Shelby and I will pick them daily and use them. We've got parsley, spring onion, we've got rocket, coriander, basil, baby basil, so it's the smaller pieces. Although I let the basil go to seed, and so it lost a lot of its flavour, and it's bouncing back, but I think I ruined the basil. I've got thyme. I never really use the thyme, so that one's getting overgrown. So if anyone knows something special you can do with thyme, contact me and tell me, because at the moment I'm just growing tons of thyme and spring onion actually without actually using it. And then I've got Shelby wanted some kale. My mint's almost completely gone. If you use mint pretty much every night in tea, we make the tea fresh. That was the biggest appeal. And rocket, lettuce, and there's one other one there, but I don't know. Is it cherry tomatoes? Cherry tomatoes. Is it? Chili. Sorry, chili. There we go. dry the thyme. Charlene, I like where your head's at, but in all honesty, I don't want to dry anything. I want to keep everything fresh. Just because I can get dried thyme or dried basil or coriander always from the supermarket. And frozen, same story. I just want it fresh and raw. I want it in that really, really unique form in the way that a lot of the world can't get it that fresh. So it's kind of exciting to be in a place in the world where I can just have pots full of vegetation that's full of flavour and edible. I think that's pretty special. All right. Maybe that's greedy of me. But cool that you can freeze it too. I'd prefer just to use it all. Now, this here is interesting. This tool I've got here in my hands, this is not a paintbrush. But if you're an artist who's working on a budget, this is a great solution. And if you use paint, and you can't use this for heavy-bodied paint. So heavy-bodied paint has a whole lot of texture. That's to be avoided for this technique. But if you use paint with a very, very thin viscosity, like I do, you can use makeup tools. Now, the reason makeup tools are fantastic is these things never, ever, ever, they're very hardy, very hard wearing, and they never lose bristles. They're just really well built. You do settle always for that round style rather than a flat brush. So there's a couple of premises here. You have to not mind the round style. I like it. You have to want those much, much finer bristles to hold paint that's almost the equivalent of water. And I'll show you here, like this here. Very, very thin, almost like olive oil. Like it's not thick and buttery. It's very thin paint. So if you can have that thin paint, and if you can handle the round nature of it, it's arguably one of the best tools. Like I go into art stores and I try and find brushes like this one. I've been painting since I was, how old? I think my first painting was when I was 3. It was a fish. I even went as far as to sign it. Or maybe, I can't remember. I can't remember tonight. Let's say 3 years old, I did a picture of a fish. But I think we always ask that, and that can be hard for a lot of artists to get asked when you started painting. For me, it's been forever, but I don't think that made the difference for me in terms of whether the art's objectively good or bad. I think what makes the biggest difference for that is what sort of journey has the artist been on for them themselves, but also behind the picture itself. Why should I be invested in this piece of artwork? Why should I be interested? And with little or no experience, there's still a reason to get invested in a piece of art. Charlene, I am in Auckland. If you can hear that traffic, and let me know if you can hear it, because I can turn the mic down a wee bit. But if you can hear the traffic, that is Auckland traffic. But yeah, like I say, if you can hear the traffic, let me know, because we want less of that in the recording. Okay. We go for a rounded flathead. This carries less paint, so this is always nice. And it is hot out today, team. So if it stays this hot, I will almost certainly swap into a t-shirt over the top of this really, really hot top. But we'll see. We will see. I'm going to spin this slightly, team. Not too much, don't want you to lose the visual there, but just enough so I can see what's happening. You can hear it a little bit, it's not that bad. Well, I'll tell you what, let me try this. I've just turned down the receiver gain, so it should be gaining my voice, but it's probably less interested in the stuff much, much further away. So, is that the case, or did I ruin it? Here we go. It is sunny where I am. It's always sunny around here. Here we go. Beautiful. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. I never seen you again. Oh. Sorry, Vidilson. Ever Dirson. It made a little difference, maybe. It made a little difference, maybe. Alright, well, that sounds like we're on the right track. There we go. Beautiful. Sorry, in terms of this picture selling though, this one is not available. This is a commission of a man named Fernando. And so our goal here is to capture Fernando's likeness and then get three emotions. Three emotions that Fernando sees: kindness, positivity, and hopeful. Kind, hope, and positive. So, the positivity, hope, and kindness, we can sort of get an element of each one of those to a degree from the colour palette we incorporate. Those bright, fun, bold colours. Painting looking like Bradley Cooper. Well, that's a good start. How's our light treating us too, team? I think we're all right there. I think we're all right. The sun's slowly rising. We're under a deck at the moment, and it'll just slowly pass down as it goes from that side angle to directly above us. Here we go. I do need, I think, a little pair of scissors. That's what I'll do, team. Hey Jay, how we doing? Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna grab a pair of scissors. Got it. You'll be fast around here now, because otherwise TikTok comes back and says, hey, we turned off your live due to inactivity. Naughty boy. I added the naughty boy bit on. They don't normally say that part, but that's the way it feels. I feel like I'm being a told off child. Go. There we go, beautiful. We're going to want to get a little bit more white in here. A little bit more white. Bad TikTok. Yeah, a little bit. TikTok makes it tough for me sometimes. Anna? Well, I would be a naughty boy if I planned on making a mistake, which I don't. So, if I do make a mistake, then rather than being a naughty boy, I'm a bad boy. There's no reason, there is no conceivable reason I should make a mistake. A mistake would be an error. So, this is a nice test. I like this. Now, there is one little bit of coffee down here. I made a coffee this morning, and a bit of the grain got on me. Hopeless mistake. Sort it out, Sebastian. But in terms of painting, there's no reason why I should get paint on myself. I should be able to hold it together. Is that... Cheers, Anna. Whew. Little bug. Bonjour, Frank. And Jules, that's the person I saw come in. How you doing, Jules? News, guys, also, prints. I put some effort into getting the prints up and ready. I've been pretty busy lately on these commissions and that new project we've taken on. But provided we can allocate some free time, prints could be back on the menu, which would be pretty exciting. Beautiful. Bold colour. Who is Seb? This guy. And watching you paint makes me feel a lot of peace. Wonderful talent, good vibes. Oh, thanks, Gazelle. Wherever you are in the world, I'm glad I could bring a little bit of peace to it. It's pretty exciting. We've got a solid 50 people here. 50 wonderful people. I reckon about 10 of which I know. I say 10 of which because you've spoken, so I know you guys are here. But another 40 wild cards. I wish you could show me who was in, so that way people can, in fact, nah, I'm glad it doesn't, because then if you're feeling more relaxed and you don't want me to chew your ear off, you can subtly come in, just watch for a bit as a fly on the wall, and then pop out again. So that's nice. Miss Molly McKenzie? All right, I'll take that. Or maybe, since TikTok knows everything, TikTok's already aware that we're factoring in your 10 personalities. And technically, the chat room just has a physical 40 people in it. And hey, Hermantha. Interesting name. And John. G'day, John. John, also. You're waiting on a message from me. After I come off this live, I'll get you sorted. So when you get a reply from me, you'll be fast asleep, but message inbound. And hello, Aurora. So at the moment, this colour here, and we're back on the plates. Lovely plates. This is actually a Demby plate. So this is a very, very nice plate. Sometimes I like the cheapest plates you can get because no one else will want them, so they can be repurposed as painting plates. And sometimes I treat myself. And at the moment, it feels pretty good on a bit of Demby. Also, interesting. Perfect, John. Also, this shirt, I've got the sleeves rolled up because the shirt needs cufflinks. This shirt cost me, wait for it, it cost me $4 and I got 2 of them. It's a fancy brand. I don't recognize it. In fact, I don't know if it's fancy. I don't recognize the brand, but it's made in Portugal. So it's a perfectly white shirt made in Portugal. It's that lovely stretch fabric. So actually when you wear it, you can move around a bit better rather than feeling caged inside a dress shirt. So I've got 2 for $8. Now, I don't want to look at it with this perspective, but we can effectively get a little bit of paint on one and get a second chance. So that's pretty exciting. But like I say, we don't want to look at it with that philosophy, obviously. There we go. And that's interesting too, John. I thought you were wildly different in time zones. I thought when it was 12 p.m. for me, it was like 10 p.m. 12 noon for me, it was 10 p.m. for you. You're probably traveling, maybe, or I'm just confused. Mac, this painting here, this is a gentleman called Fernando. So Fernando is a lovely gentleman who lives his life in Germany, or he has lived in Germany for the last few years. And that's why behind Fernando here, we have this clock tower, or the area in Munich. If you've gone to Munich, there's this big clock tower. You go to it with public transport, and you walk up these stairs after you get off the public transport, and you come out into this beautiful area, which is very uniquely Munich. And when you come up, he's just walking up those stairs. He's at the top. He's taken a few steps, and now he's turned his head, and he's smiling at something that's caught his attention. That's the moment we're trying to grab here. With the 3 emotions of Fernando being kindness, positivity, and hope. So kindness, positivity, and hope. That's why you're seeing these Naples yellows, these pastel magentas, and they're actually, I've used a bit of ultramarine, which creates that depth in the picture, but cerulean blues combined with white is what's making that turquoisey color coming through it. Thalio and cerulean blues. So forget the complicated language. Basically what we're looking at is your 3 primary colors, the Naples yellow being yellow, that magenta pale being the red, and the cerulean thalios being the blue. 3 primary colors, pastely colored, and those pastel colors creates that, I don't want to say spiritual sense, but a little bit, but actually it creates that hope, that soft kindness, that warm understanding, that positivity. A lot of the other colors, like if you had powerful red, and we'll add some dots in there of it, the powerful crimson or scarlet, they can have this effect of either vigor or intensity or sometimes fury. And so you have to be careful with the intensity of reds. Same with blues. With blues, you can create this stoic power to a piece. Now, we want a little bit of stoic power and depth that we get from that ultramarine blue, but we don't want to overcook it. And then the next thing is the yellows. We've got a few yellows, primary yellows. That's that really potent deep yellow poking through, but we won't add more. If we add too much of the Ears might be too high. Nah, they're perfect. I'll show you the picture here. Out of all the things, and there's a lot of things in and out of proportion, the ears are actually perfect. But that being said, we don't get artists have the ability now for a couple of $100 to buy a device, and this device will shine light onto the canvas. You have a white canvas, shines it onto there, and it'll lay out the picture perfectly in black and white. And then you just get your sketch pen and you just sketch the picture exactly where it should go onto the canvas. And then you just paint it, paint by numbers. The problem with this though is you'd have to ask yourself, let me ask a first question. Do we believe, thanks Jules, do we believe that there has been masterpieces made or true art made before these phenomenal new techniques existed? And if the answer is yes, then that means that all this technology isn't, what am I trying to say? I feel like if you're trying to make a perfect picture and you get these projection devices and you mark out your picture beautifully, I'm not against it, but if you do that, you're more of just a tool in creating perfection and your personality's taken out of it. What I want to happen more is what happens in philosophy, where, psychology, where they have that weird humanoid thing, which with big ears and eyes and mouth to show us how we'd look if we only valued our empirical senses. I forget what it's called, but in the same way, me looking at Fernando, I'm going to accentuate certain things more than the photo has. And a great example of this, the obvious one with Fernando, that I'm hung up on in a big way, is his gaze. So in the photo, the gaze he's got is just a few pixels, and it's really irrelevant. But in my image here, every line in some way, and sorry guys, I get a little bit of hay fever, so my nose is itchy. Excuse me when I scratch it. In some way, aims in that direction, or complements the lines that try and aim in that direction. So every brushstroke I add is really in some way acknowledging that that moment of thought process he's got where he's just gazing at something happy. So anyway, my sweet onion stabbed in the back of my leg. That's okay. Yes, thanks Apollo. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Freudian slip? Probably. I don't adhere to everything that Sigmund Freud stood for, but John, I'll be honest, I do like a lot of it. But the premise I like the most about it, is that we get the idea that we can just completely forget who we were and run off into being new individuals. Who cares about the childhood? Who cares about this or that, etc., etc. But actually, we're more like an arrow than we are just an ever-changing individual. And where the arrow came from, although it doesn't define the arrow, it's relevant to its trajectory, and we can understand ourselves better because of it. So I think one of the scariest things we get when psychology says you'll always wear your past and project it, or the trauma of it, or the whatever of it will always affect you, that's scary for a lot of people, and rightly so. But I don't think it's like that. I think the past is just where the arrow's been. It helps you understand the arrow's trajectory, but it isn't the arrow. And when you understand it like that, or if you can see it through that lens, I think we're kinder on ourselves. Let's get this. Yeah, there we go. It's a little bit there. Because I'd hate to think that every moment from my past, well, do I say defines me? controls me. I think that's what we're afraid of. The idea that the past would actually have some sort of innate control over us that we would find inescapable. But I don't think that's how it works. I think the past is something that we just need to learn to accept, which is, I say it so easily, but that's really tough to do. Something that we accept to then grow from. How do you do that? I've got no idea. Cheers, Andy. And Jay. Great picture, Jay. I think AI made that one back in the day. Back in the day. Only a couple of months ago, to be fair. Beautiful. So, I think. I want some more through here. Something depth and power. Let's get a little bit of green and blue. Experience may shape the personality, but changes happen every day with new experiencing. Yeah, true. And I think experiences we have when we're young, I don't want to say young and dumb, but in the distant past, you can have new experiences now, today, that could alter you positively or negatively in the same way you were in the past. And so, yes, things might have happened, positive or negative. But today, the thing I like to hear is today of all days, we have the ability to change them. And not change ourselves straight away, but start building ourselves in the direction we want to be. Can't just wake up one morning and say, you know what, I'm going to be an astrophysicist. And I'm going to learn to love people more. And I'm going to do this and do this. You can decide to do those things more, but change takes time. So you've got to really want it. Sebastian, great name. I remember back when I was in my mid-20s, I was much more bullish. And not in like the stock, Wall Street stock sense. Bullish in the way that I think I loved less. I didn't care less. I just didn't express myself to other people in a way that actually was showing them the best of me. Hey Sammy, how we doing? And so I think the hardest thing I had to do was actually think to myself, because it's got to be you and yourself, and realize that, I'm wrong here. I can do better. It's not everyone else's fault. It's my fault. How do I remedy this? And then all of a sudden, every night when you're going to sleep and wishing other people would be who you wanted them to be, you start going to sleep and wondering, what can I do to be better? Treasure box, that's fun. Hey Jake. And once you start thinking like that, the whole dynamic changes. And even if things don't improve, this is what's so important. Even if things don't change, you wanted things to change, they're not changing. What happens is, instead of sitting there and ruining your own health mentally at first and then physically, because they are intrinsically linked, you actually put your best foot forward, bring love into the world, and if it's not a good result, you're not beaten up at the end of the day. You'd be amazed at how much you as a person can handle, provided you come into it with the right positive ideas. And I read a quote or an extract from a book recently. Something about, it was that classic quote though, of you can only really control yourself, and if you do that, you can be satisfied. Now that doesn't mean ignore everyone else and they're their own people and I'll do my thing, but ignore everyone else. It means do your best, lead horses to water, show love, show caring, compassion, and empathy. But ultimately, provided you put your best foot forward to give those to people, you can't really do a whole lot more than that. And they can either take it or they can leave it. But that's also not an excuse for you to stop giving it. Maybe to that person, if you're finding it just being drained from you, but not from everyone. I believe nothing gives, I can't say for you, but nothing gives me the right to, after being burned, to then not give love, empathy, or compassion to the next stranger. You don't have a right to do that, I don't believe. I'm gutted that we get burned sometimes, but that's, yeah. The worst thing you could do is then put up more shields to deny new people the ability to connect and love. That'd be a disaster. Speaking of, I actually had a funny instance that I'll tell you guys about. It's been going on over the last 2 weeks. So it was a scam. And I haven't got the result of it yet. I was messaged by an individual in, I think it was Washington. They wanted to buy a painting. They were interested in Africa. That's one of the last paintings I've got in my foyer, and I love Africa to bits. And he wanted to buy Africa, and he was going to transfer the money in a week. So that's totally fine. In the meantime, I'll get it framed and boxed, so it's all ready for you, and then once payment is made, I'll ship it. He said, perfect, that sounds exciting. So anyway, it's framed, shipped and things like that. I even had it with Michael and Sharon, the team who do the shipping for me. I gave it to them and it's boxed and it's got a tracking sticker on it and things. And he was very keen for the tracking number. And so I said, yeah, of course, here's the tracking number. Here's the, he wanted the receipt for the shipping. I said, that's weird, but yeah, here you go. Here's the receipt for the shipping, have whatever you want. And still at this point, payment hadn't come through, which is totally fine. People live lives. He said he was a offshore engineer for oil rigs. And I was like, that's like, hey, that sounds chaotic. Whenever you're ready, do your thing. I'm not going to sell it to someone else. It's if you don't take it, it's going back on my wall. So we're in no hurry here. Anyway, he got very pushy in wanting the painting to be sent. And he said, I don't want to send payment until I've seen that it's left New Zealand and it's on its way to me. And I said, look, that's fair enough. But at this point, too, his messages, the English was slightly off. Not enough to be concerned about, but enough to just get that little red flag going. And I said, that's totally fine. I can't ship it though. It can't leave New Zealand until a payment's been made. It's like any other product, and I'm so sorry if that doesn't work for you, but that's the only way I can do it. So anyway, the English in the messages got really bad, and he started all sorts of messages and nonsense. But the important thing was, hey, Ellie Jade. I then sent him a message and I said, look, forget the deal. It's not happening. I'm going to keep the painting, but this is the last email I've sent him. I said, I should actually read it to you guys. Hold on. I'll grab my iPad, because I reckon it's a good email, and I'd like for this to go further. So, hold on, team. Here I am wandering around, and literally, my iPad's right here. Idiot. Hold on. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. William. His name's William. Lovely guy. I said to William in the last email here, well, happy to be there, yes, but also understand that he's not trying to scam money as such. He's trying to scam artwork, and so he's not trying to increase his financial position as much as he is trying to bring beauty into his life. These things don't sell. Like the liquidity on a painting, you could probably, you could probably pawn off on the market a Sedgar Art original, but you're not going to be able to advertise it. You're not going to be able to, you're going to have to talk face to face, mouth to mouth to sell it to someone. You know, that artwork's not like an iPhone. You can't just have it up on your wall or have it on display and not for everyone to know that Africa was a stolen painting. Like, anyway, because all my paintings are really, really quite obvious. So anyway, this is the last email I sent to him. I said, you've got strength, goals, and dreams. I respect you. The deal is not happening, but with your permission, we can be friends. I love your passion to own art. I'm 31 and I dream of starting a family. What about you? So I'm hoping from this message, being quite open, I hope we drop the facade and we can actually have a conversation. Him to me. I don't want any of his personal data. I couldn't care. I don't think that's fair. But we can have a personal conversation and we'll see what comes of it. Hopefully, I'm personally here hoping that me and William become quite good friends. And there's absolutely no reason why we can't. He may live distant overseas, but I think we can be pen pals. And it's a cool story how we met, I think. Anyway, we'll see what comes. There we go. Look, I think he's going to be great. I hope he comes back to me. I hope he comes back to me and immediately drops the facade. But I suspect, guys, it's going to take more work than that. And that's all right. I'll give it a couple of goes. But if I feel like we can't get that connection, I can't break that that shield, because you don't know how long someone's been doing this for. At a certain point, you'll know this in your own life. At a certain point, the callous you can get. Think about someone who's looking for love and you just get hurt over and over and over and over again. The callous and the shields you put around yourself make it impossible for you actually to connect and make that connection. Now, this happens as well for someone who's, trying to scam in that sense. And the scam's such a dirty word. It's like scam. It's like scuttural. But someone who's trying to get ahead or get something in a place where they may have nothing. And for them, every time someone figures out about the scam, how do you treat a scammer? When, sometimes you joke around with them, but usually people get very mean, condescending, aggressive, rough. You don't normally treat a scammer who's trying to take your money like a human. You feel like they haven't treated you like one, so you tear them to bits, verbally, via a message. What happens when the scammer gets that 50 times, 100 times, countless times? At what point does a scammer stop seeing any person they're trying to scam like an individual and actually just think, these people all hate me if they knew what they were doing, so I won't really, I'll disassociate completely. That's dangerous. Whenever we fall into the trap of disassociating from people to justify our own behavior, that's when every single massive crisis and massive terrible terror in the world has occurred is because we've justified our position by disassociating from other humans. So every time you feel yourself doing that, please gaze at yourself and try and figure out how to get back on the right track. And I don't have the answer for getting back on the right track, but we all do it. Like, happens so commonly for people they've even got a psychological term for it, but people who treat waiters poorly. And look, sometimes it happens. People blow up at waiters. A mother has been at home with her kids all day. One's had a headache, one's had diarrhea. She's been changing nappies. She hasn't slept for 5 days. She's exhausted. The husband's come home and felt like he's been working the whole day. So when he gets back, he feels like he should be treated like a king. But she's finally looking for someone to actually take some of the burden off her, which he doesn't do. He sits down with a Budweiser in front of the TV and starts watching that. And they've got a dinner reservation, which she made and had to change 3 times on for 6 o'clock, and the kids are playing up, so she had to get them ready, and she gets her husband and her and these 3 kids, which is effectively 4 kids because the husband isn't helping out, to the restaurant. They park in the parking lot, get inside the building, which if you've got 3 kids with you, that's a mission in itself. They get inside the building, they find their table, they sit down, they get their meals, the kids are playing up, everything's going wrong. She gets her meal, and you know what, the carrots are cold, and she just flips out. And yes, some poor kid at the age of, say, late teens, early 20s, gets yelled at by this woman about these cold carrots and this whole establishment, and she's going to give a negative review and they better fix it, blah, blah. It's not fair that that kid gets yelled at, but there is empathy we can feel with a story leading up to what made the mum blow up about the carrots. It wasn't the carrots. The carrots was just the string that broke the camel's back. So, sorry, the straw, not the string, that broke the camel's back. And some of us can look at that and we can say, that's, that behavior is unacceptable, or wow, that's an out there situation. Is it? I think we all go through that. I think we've all acted outlandishly or lard or over the top to someone out there in the world because of what we'd been going through leading up to that case. And had we been in our usual stable, wholesome mind in that situation, it'd be water off a duck's back. We'd just deal with it. So, a mini series about a mother who goes to a restaurant and a mini series about a mum who goes to a restaurant and gets cold carrots. I think Netflix can do better. What's a stable, wholesome mind like? Well, Miss Molly McKenzie, I think less about what the exact thoughts are and more about, do you every now and again check yourself and ask yourself, am I doing the best I can do? Not just for me, well, for yourself, selfishly, but also for those around you. Are you doing your best? Because no one's asking for more than your best. But your friends, family, loved ones, yourself, when you look in the mirror, all anyone's asking is that you try. And imparted by Brittany, yes, it has been a while, but I've been seeing your posts, Brittany. Loving the art you're putting up. Here we go. These little bits. This is a different shade of blue, but it's gonna play around in here just a wee bit. There we go. Bit more white. Just a bit more white. How's the family? Family's good. Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy. And I've got this work, Fernando. I've got Christoph. And then we've got 6 more emotions to make. And we've also got a really, 2 very fun pictures to do. One of them, which is going to come together shortly, which is the portrait of a child, a baby, a newborn, which we haven't done in going on 2 years, which is going to be really fun. And then the other one, which is really interesting, is Phyllis Feathers. So Phyllis Feathers is a possible project that'll take off. And what it is it's a lovely individual's drag alter ego. And so we're going to capture it in the same wild, crazy color palette and capture this drag personality with a whole bunch of pink, red, and white feathers. Not real feathers. We're going to capture it in paint, but the whole concept is pretty exciting because I think this whole style lends itself really, really well to painting something like a drag superstar with the colors and the style of it. So I think it will work really well. And the individual we're after, we'll talk more about the personality stage presence. It's based on a 1970s star called Phyllis Feathers. So I understand. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But we will see. We will see. What colours would you use for a self-portrait in your current mental landscape? Jeepers, big question. Colours for a self-portrait in the current mental landscape. When you say current mental landscape, are you referring to my current mental landscape? Because I probably wouldn't do a portrait in terms of who I am, as in like a reflection of me. I'd probably do a self-portrait more in the form of, you know when you look at a mirror and you look back at yourself and you think that would be my portrait. Imagine you close your eyes for a moment and imagine what you would see. And that imagination of your face, that imagination of what you hope or think the face is going to be, before you open your eyes and think to yourself, I wish that was more this, or that was more this, or I'm this, or I'm that. When you close your eyes, what do you actually see? What do you want to see, sorry? I think I'd use a giant spectrum of colours. I'd use a little bit less green, not because I don't like green, not because I don't see green in myself, but because I just prefer the rest of the colour palette. Yeah. I'd probably ask my mother to choose out a photo. And I'd say, Mum, can you choose out a photo where I really just look like me? Because we've all got a vision of what we think we are. But your mother or caregiver or role model in some way has the ability to actually go, no, this picture captures you. There's the picture you use as your Facebook profile, and then there's the picture that your family actually sees you in. And I don't think, not often, are they the same picture. It's kind of like those posts you see on social media where they go, LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile, Tinder profile, and so on and so forth. And all the photos are slightly different. And I think that's kind of true. All right, a little bit of green in here. Let's grab that down there. There we go. Well, you're welcome, Brittany. Keep painting. Keep it up. I think that idea of a picture that captures someone thinks captures you. Yeah. And sometimes, actually, people will send me, say, like even in the case of Fernando here, they'll send me multiple pictures and say, which one do you think works the best? Like, which one really has me in it? And when Fernando told me his stories about Germany, why he was there, how he felt about his life, where he felt like he was going, who he felt like he was, that's what made this picture, this environment, this landscape resonate with me, where I thought, I think that's you, Fernando. I think this is the place, and this is the angle that represents you the best. Okay. Yeah. Who's that? Who's giving out thongs? Thanks, Julie. I am spotting thongs at the moment. It's almost 1 a.m. here. I need to get to bed. Fair enough, Brittany. Appreciate you popping on, and go get some sleep. You've caught the best part anyway, Brittany. It's all downhill from here. It's all going to go. Everyone who stays from now on will be wishing that they used their time for anything else. They'll be like, that was such a waste of my day. I don't mean that, guys. I'm just saying that for Brittany. Now Brittany's like, I don't know whether I should stay or not. And everyone else is like, I don't know whether I should leave or not. There we go. Now we're adding a lot of green in here, but it's a pastel-y green, which is fun. Won't put too much green in on the face here, otherwise you run the risk of making your character look like a Martian. Which wouldn't be the end of the world. Which artist would you ever want to meet, living or dead? Well, I think the dead ones would be the most boring ones to meet. Because, you know, they wouldn't really say a whole lot. And the smell. But, look, honestly, I'd probably go quite basic here and say I'd like to meet Van Gogh. And the reason I'd like to meet Van Gogh is because I'd like to know exactly. We got a good idea about Picasso's personality, but there's not a whole lot about Van Gogh's. And I'd like to know whether I've heard he's not a nice individual or he's tough to get along with, etc., etc. I want to know for myself. I want to know more about Van Gogh myself, and if the very few writings we have about him are true, or whether he just ran into the wrong individuals during his career. Could be either one. I don't know. I do not know. There we go. we're going to grab just a little bit of orange, and then this painting's not far off going into its stand down period, team. Oh, oh wait. There we go. I was going to say, this painting's not far off going into its stand down period. And I wonder, do I have a filter on me right now? Is that what's happening here? It kind of looks funny. Just want to make sure. Enhance. Stickers, filters, background, effects. Is it under enhance, effects? That's stickers. Enhance, effects. It kind of looks like there's a filter on. But I can't tell. Oops, sorry team. Maybe there's not, maybe it's just the lighting. Who knows? Anyway, the orange colour, the temptation is to put the orange colour everywhere on the skin. We're not going to do that. We're just going to apply it to the key spots on it with some intensity. So, and as we use it, we'll mix in just a little bit of white. Not to end up at the Naples yellow colour, but to actually move in that kind of direction. We've got all those purples and deep blues that make the cerulean feel at home, and the reds, but we haven't made the yellows really feel like part of it yet. So this is going to be that bold colour that stands at the front, outlandishly strongly, to actually make everything feel like it belongs. There you go. Yellow with the red. This brush here, get a bit more paint off it. There we go. The less paint on it, the better. Lovely. Lovely. Okay. There we go. A little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that off the bat. Beautiful. Right. Imagine like a deep salmon. That's what we're after there. See that? Just going to spot a few little areas that we think can be lifted. Again, we're not going to do any massive strokes with it. Touch wood. But we will just spread this out a wee bit. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. Well, Jay, the paper plates are still a thing, but I run out of them quite fast. And so when I run out of them, I've got some hard plates to use. And honestly, the session we did with the glove, I think that was the best. And so I've been looking around for some compostable or biodegradable gloves, because we don't want to be using gloves and then using hundreds of gloves a week and adding all that plastic into the environment. So, and yeah, I know it's not a whole lot of plastic, but when you're talking about a system change, if the system involves what was just a plate to using several gloves, this stuff can have a bit of a larger impact. So we want to make sure we're making tactical long-term changes which are better for the planet, ideally. Ideally. Especially if we're given the option. When the option's available to us, and we opt for, nah, let's just not help the planet. It's not a very constructive position to take. Less of a climate crisis thing as well. It's more of a, do you love the planet? All right. If you love the planet, let's put less plastic into it. can get on board with that stance. 10 days a week. So if I can find gloves I can compost, that's fantastic. Now the gloves will have the paint on them, which is a wild card. But at least the plastic won't survive for 500 years, with or without the paint. A bit more blue in here actually, Tim. Probably does it for a little wild orange spree. Let's get a bit more blue. Who knows? Is that an op shop? Maybe. Maybe. The shirt does cost that much. Imagine that. You get two $4 million shirts at an op shop for $4. Here we go. And Jay, I see what you're doing, Jay, and I really appreciate it. But in this case, it's all good, Jay. We'll just hang out. Just hang out. If people want to subscribe, they can leap on board. And if they want to just watch, I don't want anyone feeling any pressure. Everyone can just hang out. But thanks, Jay. Your intentions are really good, and I appreciate that to no end. There we go. Little bits of blue. Up around here too. There we are. All right. One really exciting thing though. Well, a bit of information. We made it to 11,000 likes, which is pretty cool. That doesn't happen by accident. Someone's thumb's been hard at work. Andy, Seb, question. Do you have showings often if you can go and see your works? There is nowhere currently where you can go and see the work. It all currently exists in private residence, which is a shame on me. Because that's less open with everyone, I find. And it'd be cool if there was more works and places where anyone could see them. There has been a few murals that we've done around the place in places like Indonesia and stuff where you can actually go see the work. But they're more just fun, crazy bits, which is actually at the end of the day what art's all about. The other thing is I have a bit of trouble keeping up to actually build a collection to display it somewhere, be it in New Zealand or America or wherever. A lot of it sells, and I typically keep 2 to 3 pieces with me. So one of the pieces I keep Africa. I've got a picture of a New Zealand shearer shearing a sheep, and there's one other picture of a horse. So I keep these 3 with me. But sometimes people say I need art right away. And I say, well, you can have one of these pieces, but then I'll need to make another one. As an artist, it's always good to keep 3 pieces close to you. I find 3 is a good number, because if your art actually does something for people, it actually enriches their lives and improves their lives. Just like, say, a farmer should keep his best or her best veggies for herself to eat or himself to eat. In the same way, an artist should keep a few of his or her best pieces with them to enrich their own life. You're an artist. You make art. It would be a shame if you didn't keep any of your art around to enrich your own life. So I always try and make sure I keep a few pieces with me to have that effect. But beyond that, most of the work is either sold or commission based. But one day I hope, and I've got this, I've been, for those who subscribed early, they would have seen the story of a little abstract technique I was building out. Now, it's a really, really fun technique, and I'm still working on refining it to completion, but I love it because this technique might be a great way to actually make art available for everyone through an affordable means. Because I can make these works. Once I get the correct formula to make it, I can make these works, and then people who might not be able to afford a proper commission or an original can look at these other works, and they're more affordable, but by God, they're beautiful. I've got a work, actually, I'm lying to you, I've got 4 works in my house. One of them is this abstract piece. You know what I'll do? It's hard for me to explain it because it is abstract and it's unique, but the goal behind it was, how can I get the most pigmentation of colour? And really, instead of having a space represented with bold brush strokes like I normally do, what if the actual pigmentation of the colour was so strong that colour alone could represent a space or an idea? So anyway, I've got this one work which is a tide going out. I'll send you some pictures of it. It's a lovely thing, but yeah, house tour. But no, we're still doing the emotions. That's the project on the on my painting style that I'm constantly working on. But no, these little abstract ones, this is what I do late at night by myself when I'm thinking, considering what art is and where it can go. I love this because every brushstroke gets infused with so much love and it builds out this whole work. But then there's this suddenness and this beauty, these abstract works, which there's no form to them. They weren't preempted. They were made with raw chaos. They were merely almost like dare I say it, like an AI piece of art that you actually, it's a loud truck, that you didn't premeditate, that you premeditated the whole result with a series of inputs. Because in this case here, it's running paint, it's fluid mixtures, and so the viscosity's making the artwork more than the artist's hands are. It's very, very different. Anyway, I haven't talked about it in a while, and maybe I should. Andy, interesting. I make my living from art commissions, from art sales, print sales. I think that's the majority of it, team. Art sales, print sales, and commissions. And one of the things I'm looking at building into more is actually offering some online digital classes, which I'm working on at the moment, and mentoring. But those two things, I'm still tossing and turning about it, whether those take the form of people being given one-on-one sessions, which isn't really fair because it prices a lot of people out of it. Because one-on-one is it's expensive, it's costly. And so the question is that the best way to do it, or is a digital item where you can watch it and when you need it you can watch it again and so forth? Maybe that's the best way to help people. Because the question fundamentally isn't like, oh, I'd like to make money off being a mentor, an inspirational speaker, that sort of nonsense. The question is, how can you help people, especially if you're already surviving? And so I think something really affordable and easily accessible and always there for you, because maybe you don't need mentoring all the time, but maybe at that one day where actually you're struggling a little bit, it would be nice to hear some key points. I always go back to certain YouTube videos, usually Alan Watts or different speakers who say things that actually bring me back to what matters, and cut through the noise and the nonsense of daily life. And I don't see enough of that for art. A lot of the art stuff's quite airy-fairy and whimsical, and I like that. That has a place, but sometimes it's nice with art to be able to grab a hold of something far more solid and actually understand something in a more real way, rather than just with spiritual or expressionist feelings. I mean, I know those things are important, but art's a real thing. It goes on your wall and it has a real impact in your life. And sometimes we forget that above and beyond everything else we're doing. Question. So you do sell prints. Do you have a website where I could purchase prints? Annie Jones, great question. There is a website. There are normally prints on the website, but while I've had a bunch of stuff going on, I've actually stopped the print sales. So we stopped them just prior to December. I think December 5th was the last day. And I was supposed to reopen them actually earlier this month, so I'm a little bit behind. But I'm definitely, before March comes around, we'll reopen the print store and prints will be available for you again. But at the moment, I think I'm liking that. We're going to grab our other piece now, Christoph, but when I walk over to grab it, it might cut the stream, but we'll see how we get on. And it is way too hot for this shit. Ooh, hold on. Before I go, I need just a little bit of this. Here we go. Mix this up. There we go. There we are. Oompa. Sorry guys, 1 second. Just a couple little pockets there. Before I take this one down though, I just want to get ticked off. There we go. All right. Mark. Yes, it is. And thanks, Evan Delson. Oh, cheers, Andy. But yes, in 1st of March, those prints will be up again. And so you'll be able to purchase them. But just while I try to get on top of some paintings, I put them on pause for now. Anyway, guys, I'm going to check if I can... let me see here. Am I able to? All right. I'm going to put the live on a pause for the next 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. I'm going to swap Fernando over for Christoph, and I'm going to get some new paint trays and wash the brush and swap the shirt over because this is way too hot. Today's come out baking, so Give me a moment. I'm going to do those, and then I'm going to come on back. How backlogged? Oh, not that backlogged. Look, when I say that, I've got a project going with AI emotions simultaneously, and so it's actually not that bad because when I'm working on the commissions, I can focus fire on commissions and put that project on hold. The only risk I run is that you get so caught up in the commissions that the inspiration you had on the original project can fade a little bit, and that can take away from the project. So that's the risk you run, and if that happens, we just do less emotions. We move on faster, but that hasn't happened yet, so we're okay. Anyway, hold on 1 second, if I can find the button here. There we go, pause live. Okay, I can pause it 3 times for 5 minutes of time. So we're gonna do 5 minutes now, and then I'll come on back. One moment, guys. I'll see you soon.